The bell rings. At midnight. You know how sometimes you do something just for fun? Something harmless, just exploring or poking around, and then you regret it for the rest of your life? That was me. 5 years ago. I was in college at the time, taking a photography class. One of our final projects was called Abandoned Spaces. Our job was to find and photograph a place that had been forgotten, left behind. Most of the other students stuck to easy stuff. Closed gas stations, rundown barns, the usual. But I wanted to go a little deeper, a little darker. I remembered hearing about a schoolhouse from my childhood. It was tucked deep in the woods on the outskirts of my hometown, one of those places people talk about in hushed voices. It was called Fairfield Hollow School, and according to old newspaper clippings, it was shut down in 1963 after a fire broke out during morning roll call. The official story said the furnace had exploded, but the rumors were different. Some people claimed the teacher had snapped, that she locked the doors and lit the fire herself. Others said the kids were never found in the rubble, just gone. I didn't buy into ghost stories. I just thought it would make for some creepy, atmospheric shots. So, one Saturday afternoon, I grabbed my camera, a flashlight, and a bottle of water, and headed out there. It was about a mile hike through dense woods. No trail, just the occasional tree marked with old spray paint from local teens who used the area to drink or do dares. Eventually, I found it. The building was still standing, but barely. The roof had partially collapsed on one side, and ivy had overtaken most of the exterior. The windows were shattered, the front door crooked on its hinges, but the bell towerette was still intact. A rusted old bell sat high above, silent as a tomb. When I stepped inside, the first thing that hit me was the smell, burnt wood. After all these years, it still stank like smoke and old ash. The desks were still arranged in neat little rows, though they were covered in dust and cobwebs. Some had papers still on them doodles, half-finished math problems, a spelling quiz from October 1963. The blackboard was cracked, but I could still make out faded chalk writing. It read, "Tomorrow is spelling bee day." I took some photos, a few close-ups, some wide shots. It was eerie, yeah, but nothing supernatural. At least not yet. When I looked back through the photos on my camera, that's when things changed. In one of the shots, there were kids, 4 of them, sitting at the desks. Their faces were turned toward the chalkboard. Another photo showed a woman standing in front of the board, her back to me. I hadn't seen anyone in the room. I took another photo of the same scene. This time, nothing. The room was empty again. I told myself it was a trick of the light. Maybe an old poster or graffiti creating illusions. I was starting to get freaked out, so I decided to leave. I packed up my stuff and turned toward the door, and that's when the bell rang. Loud, sharp, echoing. It nearly knocked me off my feet. I looked up at the tower, heart pounding. There was no wind, no rope. Nothing could have rung that bell. I bolted for the door, but it slammed shut before I could reach it. I mean slammed, like something had thrown it closed from the other side. The sound of the lock clicking into place was unmistakable. I stood there, frozen, gripping my camera like it would somehow protect me. Then I heard something even worse. Chalk scraping. The blackboard was writing itself. I swear on my life, there was no one holding the chalk. But it was moving, writing out a sentence slowly, painfully, like someone invisible was forcing each letter onto the board. Class is not dismissed. The room went ice cold, my breath fogged up in front of me. I turned around, and every desk was filled. There were children sitting there now, 4 of them, just like the photo. Their skin was gray and blistered, their eyes cloudy and empty, their mouths slightly open like they were whispering something I couldn't quite hear. I started backing up when the teacher stepped forward. She was tall, skeletal, and dressed in the same style as a 1960s schoolmarm. Her face was burned on one side. She held a long wooden ruler in one hand, tapping it slowly against her palm, and then she spoke, but her lips never moved. The words echoed inside my head. "You're late. Sit down." I turned and ran. This time the door swung open like it wanted me gone. I didn't stop running until I reached my car. I didn't even remember getting there. I must have sprinted through the woods like a maniac. When I finally looked at my camera again, all the photos were corrupted. Every single one. Except one. It was a photo of the classroom, yes, but this time, I was in it. Sitting in the front row, staring blankly at the board. Like, I was part of the class. I never went back. I moved across the country, changed my number, deleted the photos, and even burned that last print. But none of it helped, because every night at exactly midnight I hear it. The same bell, ringing once, no matter where I am. And some nights, I wake up standing, facing a blackboard, chalk in my hand, and on it I've written the same line over and over. Class is not dismissed. I never intended to stay late that evening. The autumn air had turned crisp as I locked my classroom door, my breath visible in the dimming light of the hallway. Willowbrook Elementary stood quiet after the final bell, the usual cacophony of children's laughter and shuffling feet, replaced by an eerie stillness. I had only meant to retrieve my forgotten lesson planner. Tomorrow's observation with the superintendent demanded perfection, but as I turned the key in the lock, the first strange detail caught my attention. The mop bucket sat at the end of the hallway. This in itself wasn't unusual, but Carlos, our day janitor, always clocked out by 5 o'clock. The clock above the drinking fountain read 6:47 in the evening. I squinted down the corridor. The bucket was old, the kind with steel ribs and a faded yellow basin that hadn't been used in years, and the man pushing it. He moved with slow, methodical strokes, his back to me. The fluorescent lights flickered above him, casting uneven shadows across his hunched frame. His uniform was wrong. Not the modern polo and slacks Carlos wore, but a gray button-up with patched elbows, the kind of outfit my grandfather might have worn. Carlos? My voice echoed too loudly in the empty hall. The mop stopped mid-swipe. When the man turned, I saw 3 impossible things at once. First, his face, deeply lined, with watery blue eyes that seemed to look right through me. Second, the way he stood, not on the freshly waxed tiles, but just above them, as if suspended by invisible strings. And third, the way he smiled. Not with his mouth, which remained still, but with those ancient eyes. "You shouldn't be here so late, Mr. Henson." My keys slipped from my fingers, clattering against the tile. He knew my name. I'd only taught at Willowbrook for 3 years, and this man, if he was a man, looked like he belonged in a black and white photograph. The air grew colder. I watched my own breath cloud between us as the overhead lights buzzed like angry insects. The mop water in his bucket was perfectly still, black as oil, reflecting nothing. "Who are you?" My voice sounded thin, childish. The janitor's chuckle rasped like dry leaves. "Just tidying up. Schools get messy when no one's watching." He said. He lifted the mop, and I saw the strands weren't yarn or plastic, but something darker, almost hair-like. Children leave pieces of themselves everywhere. Lost teeth under pillows, names carved in desks, tears in the bathroom stalls. A pipe clanged deep in the building's belly. The janitor's head snapped toward the sound with animal quickness. "Boilers fussing again?" he muttered. When he turned back, his expression had changed. Something hungry flickered behind his eyes. "You ever wonder why old schools feel alive, Mr. Henson? Why the floors creak when no one's there?" I took a step back. My shoulder blades hit the lockers with a metallic thud. 1978? He continued, rolling the bucket toward me. The wheels didn't squeak. They didn't make sound at all. That's when I clocked out for good. Heart attack. Right down in the basement. They found me slumped against the furnace. His form shimmered at the edges, like a film reel losing focus. Funny thing, death don't mean much in a place like this. Too many memories soaked into the walls. Too many children needing looking after. The hallway stretched impossibly long behind him. The exit sign at the far end seemed miles away. "Sarah Wexler," he said suddenly. 3rd grade, 1992. Left her favorite hair ribbon in the cafeteria. I kept it safe for 20 years. From his pocket, he produced a faded pink satin bow. Timothy Marsh cried every morning by the bike racks. I'd wipe his tears before the other kids saw. My throat tightened. Timothy Marsh was now a police officer. He'd visited our school last month for career day. The lights flickered violently. In the strobing darkness, the janitor's face changed. His jaw unhinged too wide, his eyes sinking into black pits. The mop strands writhed like tentacles. "Go home, teacher," he yelled. The voice wasn't human. It came from everywhere. The walls, the floor, the inside of my skull. I ran. My dress shoes slipped on the wax tiles as I crashed through the front doors into the blessedly cold night air. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I sat in Principal Alvarez's office, clutching coffee gone cold. When I described the janitor, her pen froze mid-word. "Henry McCullough," she whispered. "He maintained the building from 1958 until his death. The boiler room plaque. You've seen it?" she asked. I hadn't. She took me downstairs. The plaque was small, tarnished, in memory of Henry McCullough, who kept our school running, 1921 to 1978. Below it, someone had left a fresh apple. "That's not possible," I breathed. "He mentioned students from the 90s. Principal Alvarez's smile didn't reach her eyes. "You're not the first teacher to see him. Mrs. Lawson claims he fixed her broken radiator in '98. Mr. Rodriguez swore Henry unlocked his car when the keys got stuck inside." She touched the plaque. "He wasn't always frightening, just protective. I teach my classes near windows now. I leave before sunset, but sometimes, when I'm last to turn out the lights, I'll hear it. The whisper of a mop on linoleum, the faint scent of lemon polish where none was used, and I know Henry's still working, still cleaning, still watching over his children."